Coach, they deployed that zone all second half. How did that affect y'all?
I thought they just played harder, and we didn't play smart. At the end of the day, you got to give them credit. They did what they needed to do to win the game. They're coming off a back-to-back. We're coming off a back-to-back. But our 17 turnovers, and they scored 21 points off just mindless plays. That's the ball game for us.
Did you see a soft spot you were hoping the guys could take advantage of, or was that part of the problem that there just wasn't anything revealing itself?
I thought the effort wasn't bad, but we have to be better. And tonight we just didn't have it.
In what ways do you think the decision making could have been better?
We just got to run our stuff and take care of the basketball, and we didn't. And I thought their zone disrupted our flow, our rhythm, and that's what it's meant to do. It makes you stop, and we watch film on it, we walk through it, but over and over again, we just tried to beat it off the dribble instead of just swinging the ball and attacking. And I think that's an area we can grow.
And a little more to that, just what did you see overall in the third quarter?
Once again, much of the same, just not making smart plays. You have to do that over and over again, and we didn't.
Another slow shooting night for CJ. Just what are you kind of seeing, the looks he's getting on the offensive end?
I'm not worried about him. He'll get it going. Been under the weather a little bit, so he'll pick it up.
And, when teams are, going after Z in those pick and roll situations, trying to force him into switches, what do you want to see more often to kind of be more effective in those situations?
Collectively, we all have to make a decision that we're going to guard, no matter who's on the floor. We can mix up some of our coverages, which we blitzed them a little bit, but probably too little, too late. We didn't guard the ball. They got into the paint, they got to the basket, and those are things that we need to do better.
Coach, you mentioned that zone giving the team problems, but did that go into your decision in that fourth quarter to not have a traditional big on the floor at times?
It did. I thought even though they were in zone, they had more of a smaller lineup on the floor, and so we tried to make some adjustments by going with Larry, going with Z, some at the 5, and putting shooting around him. Once again, we only shot 28 threes, but it was the turnovers that kind of killed us down the stretch.
And just big picture, you said after a few games, it just seems like the full effort that you're looking for isn't there, or the mental focus you're looking for isn't there. Just what do you think you need to do to kind of address that?
We'll go back. We'll take a day off. We'll watch some tape. We'll continue to talk and communicate. I think this stretch has contributed to it, but everybody has to go through this in the NBA, and we got to gut it out. I thought we didn't collectively come together and go after it. They made a run, and then that was it. We just didn't have anything left in the tank. So I think, not to make excuses, but it's been a tough stretch with 8 games on the road out of our first 11. And, hopefully we can make up some ground here at home.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Third quarter was the difference tonight. Just what you see in that 12-minute stretch.
Third quarter was rough. That's all I can say about that. Third quarter was just rough. It was one of those just bad quarters. Felt like things weren't just going our way. No matter what we did, it just wasn't our quarter.
Yeah, and Willie talked a lot about the turnovers, after the game. How big a factor do you think that was tonight?
17 turnovers, a lot of turnovers. That changes the game. Even if you cut it to 10, those 7, taking away 7 still changes the game.
What do you think you guys had to do to just be more effective attacking the zone?
I think it's just ball movement and quick decisions. I think sometimes we would hold it and not make the quick decision, and sometimes it worked for us, but a lot of times it wasn't in our favor.
And what are you thinking when teams are kind of drawing you up top and trying to get you in the switches against their guards?
That's fine. They can do that. I think when people are watching on TV, they don't really know what's going on in the huddle. And when my coaches are telling me to do a certain thing and push the man a certain way or to guard a certain way, it's not that I'm not guarding. It's just I'm just playing it to our game plan. And I mean, they did a great job executing off of it. That's all I can say.
I think for you, it was another 17 in the fourth quarter. It was kind of like the Chicago game where you had a few amount of field goal attempts, and then things started to turn up in the fourth. Is there something? I know you're trying to make the right play, especially when teams are doubling you a lot. Is there something that's just opening up in the fourth, or is that you just okay? We're recognizing game time situation and turning it on a little bit more.
That's just me recognizing game time situation, and the first few quarters I make the basketball play, get my teammates involved, so it does allow the game to open up in the fourth. But just whether that works or not in the fourth quarter is I just become aggressive. But if shots aren't falling, I'm not gonna force it.
At times it seems like it's just up and downs at times with the mental focus for you guys. What do you think you guys need to do just be more consistent in that area?
I think it's just the way we start off games and start off that second half. We shouldn't have to take 4 to 5 minutes to get locked back in. Because when we are locked in, it works for us. We go on runs, but we can't expect to not be locked in the first 3-4 minutes of the first quarter and then not be locked in the first 3-4 minutes of the third and for that to work for us because it hasn't been working.
Zion, obviously there were some frustrating calls tonight, early foul trouble. How do you take some of these frustrations and learn from it so that going forward, playoff time maybe, that this doesn't really happen?
Just gotta watch the film, see which fouls were 50-50 on I would probably still make that play, and which fouls I can't risk getting that foul, like you said, because in the playoffs, being on the bench for 3 minutes, hell, even being on the bench for 1:30 could be a complete game changer. So it's just watching film and seeing which fouls were I disagree or which fouls, that was a dumb foul.
And that zone was probably the most you've seen the zone since college. Was there some in-game adjustments y'all were trying to point out there and it just didn't catch on? Is there something y'all are working there, or was
we figured they would come with zone because they've been playing a lot of zone the whole year. But like I said in the previous question, we were making the right plays, but we just weren't being quick and decisive. We were just kind of holding it, trying to make something happen when the easy play was there.
You played, I think, the entire fourth quarter. I think you checked in late there. Maybe it was in the third. I know that was kind of maybe the plan in Chicago. It looked like it was going to be with you guys trailing, but I think there was a little bit of foul trouble, so you had to sit for a minute or two. Just how do you feel playing? I know normally your minutes are 6, coming the end of the first, get you 3-3. How did you feel playing that stretch there in the fourth quarter?
I felt fine. For me, it allows me to get the feel for the game, to allow me to get into a rhythm and, see how they're substituting and while being on the court. So I pick and choose when I want to go. But, after about 4 to 5 minutes, your adrenaline's up. So when you're trying to compete and come back, you don't really feel how tired you are till after the game.
And there's another one where the shots just weren't falling for CJ. Just what are you kind of seeing from him on the offensive end and the looks he's getting?
I think it's just one of those things where, CJ played off ball a lot when he played for Portland, and with us, he's asking to play point. So I think it's just him trying to find a balance of getting in his rhythm while trying to get everybody else going, and I think he's done a great job. I think he's done a great job at it. It's just we didn't do certain things as a team collectively to in the previous question, we just weren't mentally locked in to start the first quarter and the third, and that takes the game from us being up 5 or 7 to us being down 5 or 7.
What do you think the zone gave you guys trouble tonight?
I mean, credit them. They did a good job of flying around and mixing in zone and man, but I thought we were stagnant. We didn't do a good job of movement, hitting the high post, the little stuff, and then missed shots, and they got out and ran. I think they had a lot of points off our turnovers. We got to do a better job taking care of the ball, but all in all, I thought we were pretty stagnant with the zone, and we got to do a better job. And I got to do a better job of organizing and getting us in something in which there's movement.
Yeah, I feel like after the games you've lost, Willie has talked a lot about just stagnancy. How do you improve that ball movement, player movement, night to night?
Yeah, play with pace. I thought a lot of times we were slow because they were in zone. We were trying to figure out what we wanted to run and trying to figure out passing angles, but got to do a better job of pushing. I got to push tempo, and then we got to do a better job of getting the ball from one side to the other. And I think that'll be the difference in our spacing. That'll be the difference in our fluidity on offense. And it's tough, going against the zone defense like that. We got to do a better job of executing and taking advantage of a team that was shorthanded.
Yeah, your shooting percentages have been down from where your normal standard is. Just how are you feeling about the looks you're getting right now in the offense?
I thought I got some good looks tonight. Just didn't make them. I'll live with that. I got to get in a better rhythm earlier in the game, and I thought I was more aggressive getting downhill and stuff like that. But outside of today, I think just an assertiveness. Need to be more assertive and trying to figure out when to pick my spots. Shooting a lot of contested too, so I got to get to the rim a little bit more. But I like the looks that I'm getting. I'll get back into the lab and tighten some things up. But no excuses. I got to play better, and we got to be better defensively, and we got to be better offensively in terms of just taking care of the ball. If we get a shot every time, we can live with the results of what that's going to be like. But when we turn the ball over and that leads to easy transition, I think that's difficult. And then giving up second chance opportunities is also tough for us.
Yeah, speaking of on the defensive end, just when you see teams, bringing Z up and trying to force him into switches on their guards, just what do you guys have to do defensively to just be more effective in those situations?
Yeah, just got to load up and help him. I think he did a good job of sitting down and forcing some tough shots. We rotated well. We did some hits. We did some shows. We mixed in a lot of different stuff. But, I mean, we gave up 106 points. It's not a bad defensive night. I think limiting some of their easy baskets, limiting points at the free throw line, limiting offensive rebound points, second chance points, I think that's the difference in this game. We can live with giving up 106. The problem is only scoring 95, not really pushing tempo, not pushing pace. And I think the third quarter, I think they didn't commit a foul the entire third quarter. I don't think I've ever seen that in a basketball game before.
We talked the other night in Atlanta about the Kyrie situation, and I think you had mentioned that night that might have been right when the list of things had come out. So wanted to just give you some time to process that. It's been a few days now. What do you think of the requirements, I guess, to lift the suspension on Kyrie from the team?
I think that they're in ongoing conversations to figure out a happy medium on his return to play. I think Adam came out and said what we've all been kind of reiterating is that there's no hate in Kyrie in general in terms of all races. He's not anti-Semitic. He's not any of those things, and he's come out and said that, and we've known him for years, and I think he's taken strides in the right direction to educate himself and to continue to learn more about the culture and about other cultures, and I think we're in a position now to where, there's obviously some back and forth between the league, between Brooklyn to try to figure out what his return to play is going to look like. But I think Jaylen Brown said it, it's a lot to ask of someone who's already said they're sorry, who's already showed empathy, who's already given his money. He's continuing to figure out ways to learn more and unite people against hate. But they are asking for a lot. So hopefully they're able to find a happy medium there and get him back to playing. I think he's missed four games already, maybe 5. I think it was a minimum 5-game suspension, but I think they're in ongoing conversation, so I can't really comment until they have a deliberation and a final tally as to what he's going to have to do.
I think Jaylen had kind of mentioned the possibility of the PA challenging the suspension. Is that just part of the ongoing conversation to see what would they eventually try to?
Yeah, our
decide
job is
on?
to represent Kyrie to the best of our ability and to support him and to educate him. Obviously, he admitted to making a mistake. We've all seen that, and now we're trying to move forward and move in the right direction to get him returning to play and displaying his talents the way he's supposed to. Obviously, they're still talking, so we're not going to appeal until we have a final as to, you know, when can he return to play? What does that look like? What are the requirements of him, and what is he willing to do? And once we kind of have that, we can move forward with whatever we need to move forward with. But our job as a union is to support him to the best of our abilities, and that's what we plan on doing.
Yeah, Willie mentioned you might be fighting a little bug right now. How much do you think that's been affecting you?
I don't make excuses, man, but I don't feel the best. I feel like shit, but we got games to play. We got things that we need to accomplish as a team, and the ball will go in. the ball will go in, and we'll win some games, and everything will be great. This is just a tough part of the season. You know, a lot of games on the road. You know, a lot of tough losses, and this is what really builds character, right? Like, everything's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be difficult. You're supposed to go through some trials and tribulations, but it's about how you respond, and I'm one to respond, and I think this team is one to respond, so I'm not worried about it, and I'll take some vitamin C, and I'll be all right.
CJ, great start to the season, kind of been inconsistent since then. What is the mood in the locker room now that you're home and you get a 5-6 game stretch here to bond here instead of on the road?
Yeah, it's been tough. Played a lot of games in a few amount of days, a lot of different time zones, but it's a part of the season. When you got home games, you got to take advantage of your routine, get in the gym, and try to get some wins in front of your home fans. So we're looking forward to playing at home and not having to get on the plane for a little bit.
Thanks, CJ. Thanks.
Hope you feel better.